All right, everybody, Cigar to Beverage is back live on a hot Louisiana Saturday night in the press box. Welcome to another edition. Glad to have you with us. Lots of stuff going on. The Olympics started this week. We have the COVID-19 Delta variant starting to run roughshod around the world, and just can't seem to catch a break with this COVID stuff. And Aaron Rodgers is butthurt. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on. The Saints are in disarray. I mean, I'm not going to sit here. I shouldn't say disarray. I really shouldn't say that. But there are issues with the roster in New Orleans, the way that's shaping up. Just a lot of things to get to, and who knows what else. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got my Macanudo. I've got my, Louisiana Saturday night here in the South. I got my bourbon and Coke right here, my Cigar to Beverage tumbler. Which I'm still looking to see if somebody can help me with some sort of e-commerce website so I can start selling merch. I want to start selling merch, and in order for me to do that, I need some sort of e-commerce help. Really, just need some sort of e-commerce help, and if I could get that, it'd be great. And then I could start selling merchandise, and I want to start selling merchandise. As always, you can Venmo me at Paul-Wonder-1 on Venmo. That's at Paul-Wonder-1 on Venmo. Venmo me any donations to that Venmo. Right there. Any donations to that Venmo will go directly back into the Cigar and the Beverage program. And that'll help with the e-commerce stuff. That'll help allowing me to start selling merch. I need to get started somehow. I want to do that. I want to get that done. So let's start with the Delta variant. Let's get that out of the way right now. COVID-19 is still a real thing. And there are people, especially here in the southern part of the United States, that have worries about getting vaccinated. And because we have low vaccination rates here in the South, and I'm just going to use the South as a gauge. Low vaccination rates in the South, especially Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. And these three states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, with the low vaccination rates, the positive cases are starting to go back up. And the hospitalizations are starting to go back up. And because of that, fall sports, especially football, we all know how big college football is here in the southern part of the United States. The 100% capacity thing is being threatened again. I mean, for us that have opportunities to be back in Tiger Stadium, to be back in Vaught Hemingway Stadium at Ole Miss, to be back, Scott Field up in Starkville, to be in Bryant-Denny, to be in Jordan-Hare, to be at the Rock in Hattiesburg, with 100% full capacity. And then in the NFL, 72,000 in the Superdome for Saints games. All of that is being threatened right now because we have people that just flat out refuse to get vaccinated. Now, I'm not saying it's all the people that haven't gotten, I'm not saying all people that have not gotten vaccinated refuse to get vaccinated. That's not what I'm saying. But it's a majority of people, it's a majority of the unvaccinated that refuse to get vaccinated. I have gotten vaccinated. I have done my due diligence. I am part of the low percentage in the state of Louisiana that has gotten vaccinated. It doesn't hurt to get vaccinated. It works. The people that are testing positive for COVID that have been vaccinated is a small percentage of people. And it's unfortunate that that's happened, but this is a vaccine that, again, is not 100% effective. But if it's 97 to 98% effective, especially I'm talking about mainly the Pfizer vaccine because that's the one I got, then why not do it? And it's free. It's not like you gotta pay anything. All you gotta do is just go around the corner to CVS or Walgreens and you can get vaccinated. I don't. Part of me doesn't understand. Now, if there are certain people there that have certain health concerns or whatnot about getting vaccinated, that's understandable, and I understand that. But if I have to wear a mask again, fine. I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm going to be entirely pissed off that I have to. But if I have to, I will, just to protect myself. But again, it doesn't hurt to get vaccinated. It's seriously effective, and it saves lives. It really does. And there's no need to make this a political thing. I was with a group of friends a couple weeks ago, and this subject came up, and it was a very cordial conversation. It was a very good conversation, and we said, and we came to the agreement that this is not a political thing. It's, do you want to live? And it's the best way to put it. I mean, it really is. So. And the ones that are going to complain, and here's the other thing, the ones that are going to complain about not being able to be in Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night with 100,000+ of your closest friends, if that capacity is down to 50% because the COVID numbers are going back up. If it gets down to where LSU's only going to allow 50% capacity because the numbers are going back up, the ones that are going to complain, and I'm almost willing to bet money on this, the ones that are going to complain are going to be the ones that are not vaccinated. My message here is, if you're able to and you haven't done it yet, go get vaccinated. It's the only, at this point, it's the only way these numbers are going to go down. I mean, really, we are starting to see these numbers are going back up. The last few days, we've seen over 12,000 people just in Louisiana alone test positive for COVID. And 96 to 97% of the positive cases are the ones that are unvaccinated. Go get vaccinated. These numbers will go down if you just go get vaccinated. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I really don't. We want football in full capacity stadiums, especially here in the South. Go get vaccinated. I don't think I could be any clearer on that. Speaking of college football in the South, it has now come to the attention of this broadcaster over the last few days that Texas and Oklahoma want out of the Big 12 Conference. This, to me, really came out of nowhere. It really did come out of nowhere. One of the biggest conference switches in modern college football history may apparently be on the verge of happening. The The University of Texas and Oklahoma University are expected to begin the process of joining the Southeastern Conference next week, sources have told Yahoo Sports' Pete Thamel. The Longhorns and the Sooners have been in communication with the Southeastern Conference for more than a year, according to the report. The conference requires at least 11 approval votes from its 14 university presidents to pass an extension. Texas A&M is the only SEC program publicly opposed to the move to this point. Texas and OU have yet to officially express their intention to leave the conference to the remaining members. Moving out of the Big 12 before the conference's grant of media rights expire in 2025 would reportedly cost Texas and Oklahoma $76 million apiece. However, the two schools are prepared to wait until the rights run out to join the SEC. Other conferences, including the ACC, have also made inquiries to Oklahoma and Texas. The remaining 8 Big 12 schools are starting to work on contingency plans and assessing their potential values to other conferences. Sources have told The Athletic's Bruce Feldman and Sam Kahn. One scenario they recently discussed was a 20-school merger with the Pac-12. Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkov said Friday, the conference isn't actively looking to add more schools, but he won't completely rule that possibility out. He added, we'd be foolish not to listen if schools call us. So, this would be an interesting move. I personally don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Really don't. It's a big move. It really is a big move. But Texas and Oklahoma, by adding them, obviously would create 16 teams in this conference. But Texas is going to come in here, and I'm going to use Texas for the sake of this. Texas is going to come in here looking to want to keep the Longhorn Network, keep their TV revenue from the Longhorn Network, and they want all the privileges that come with Texas to stay with Texas. And if that ends up happening, Greg Sankey is going to have to put his foot down and say, look, this is how this is going to go. The Longhorn, and in a promo video that I did earlier this afternoon with my buddy Chris, who is a viewer, by the way, we talked about this briefly earlier this afternoon. And I agree with him. If this move is going to happen, whenever it happens, the Longhorn Network will have to come together with the SEC network. And the SEC network is going to have to take it over. So the Longhorn Network will cease to exist. It will have to. Because Texas, that's their own network. It is an entity of ESPN, and so is the SEC network. So Longhorn Network gets grandfathered in. But with that, the TV revenue that is generated from the Longhorn Network must now be split between, and this is assuming Oklahoma joins as well, between the other 15. That TV revenue will have to be dispersed among 16 member institutions, not just Texas. Okay. Then Texas will have to abide by the SEC bylaws because we've got a lot of we got schools in the SEC that have been there since the beginning, and They want to keep the tradition of the SEC alive, and A&M has had to abide by that, and Missouri has had to abide by that, and so far so good with them. No problems with those two schools. But here comes Texas, and here comes Oklahoma. We'll see how this is going to go down. If this happens, it will definitely add to a football-rich tradition that is prevalent in the Southeastern Conference. So we'll see how this works out. Should be interesting. It really should. And how this came about, really. I don't. And Texas A&M is like, no. Not no, but hell no. Jimbo Fisher was asked about it at SEC Media Day this week, and his answer was, I bet they would. My sentiments exactly with Jimbo. The Big 12 is going down in flames. And then there was a report, and I didn't get to read the report, but then there was a report that's saying that the American Athletic Conference, this is the same conference as Tulsa and Tulane and UConn, they want to take in some of the Big 12 schools. It's a power grab for the AAC. If it becomes a power grab for the AAC, does that mean the AAC now becomes a power conference? This will change. If Texas and Oklahoma get approved to move to the Southeastern Conference, this will change the entire landscape of college football or college athletics as we know it. And the entire landscape changes. But I guarantee you this. Oklahoma football's run on conference championships will end. Because now you're coming in and you're facing Alabama. You're facing Auburn. You're facing Georgia. You're facing LSU. You're facing Florida. Ole Miss is fixing to improve and start competing again. Give them time. You got to face A&M, whom you faced in the Big 12, but A&M is a top 10 football program. Or they are on the verge of being a top 10 football program. This isn't the Big 12 where it's Texas and OU and that's it. No disrespect to Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. No disrespect to Baylor, who over the last few years have been a very competitive football program in that conference. No disrespect to West Virginia, but it's been Texas and OU, and that's it. Now you're coming into a conference where there's at least 6 teams: A&M, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Florida, that could conceivably win the SEC every year. Every now and again, you'll get competitive teams like you'll get Arkansas, who will be competitive every so often. Ole Miss will be competitive every so often. Tennessee is trying to get up on the up and up, but that we've been saying that the last 10 years. Okay? This is going to be interesting, guys. It's going to be interesting. And it's going to be very difficult for Texas and Oklahoma to compete and be in the mix. What is it? Oklahoma's won like 5 or 6 straight Big 12 conference football championships. That's going to end. That will end. Calling it now. And then they mentioned the ACC in this report. The ACC has reached out to Oklahoma. They've reached out to Texas. And you know what? Don't be surprised if this move forces the Atlantic Coast Conference to try to court Notre Dame into becoming a permanent member of the conference. Look at what happened last year with Notre Dame as an ACC member institution in a COVID year. They played all ACC games, and they ended up getting to the ACC championship game. And unfortunately, they got blown out by Clemson in that conference championship game. But my goodness, in your 1 year that you've joined a conference, in the history of your institution, in the history of your football program, you get to a conference championship game and you have an opportunity to win it. I'd like to see Notre Dame finally in a conference and get rid of that TV deal with NBC. That's like the Tex. That's like Texas with the Longhorn Network. That's the Notre Dame treatment there. And like I said, Texas wants to get in the SEC. The Longhorn Network will have to cease to exist, because you're going to have these other SEC member institutions say, okay, if we're going to allow this to happen, then the Longhorn Network needs to be done. The Longhorn Network needs to go away. Get rid of it. Congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks. Moving along. Congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks. There's a reason why I'm going to do this, so hear me out. The Milwaukee Bucks earlier this week finished off the Phoenix Suns in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, winning their first NBA championship since 1971. A minority owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, Aaron freaking Rodgers. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, oh, and by the way, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a friggin' beast. Name me another basketball player that has been as successful as he is with his accolades before he turned age 27. I dare you to give me one. Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, two-time League MVP. He scored 40 points or more in 4 straight Finals games. Jeez. And he scored 50 to finish off the Suns. Name me somebody better than Giannis Antetokounmpo right now, and don't say LeBron James. Don't do it. Now, minority owner Aaron Rodgers is an NBA champion. He's an NFL champion with the Green Bay Packers. And now, he is royally ticked off at the franchise. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Here's a guy that is playing probably at the peak of his career at age 36. There's not a quarterback right now in the NFC other than Tom Brady that can touch him. There isn't one. And I'd be willing to bet, other than Patrick Mahomes, there's not a quarterback in the AFC that can touch Aaron Rodgers. So what did the Packers do last offseason? They draft a quarterback in the first round. They draft Jordan Love out of Utah State in the first round in the NFL draft in 2020. So of course Aaron Rodgers is going to be like, wait a minute. What the hell are you doing? And not only that, not only is Aaron Rodgers upset about the situation, so is Davante Adams. Earlier today, both Rodgers and Davante Adams created further speculation about their future with the Packers. Rodgers and Adams both posted the same picture of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen in an apparent reference to The Last Dance. It's unclear if Rodgers and Adams are hinting they've already played their last game together in Green Bay, or if they're signaling this upcoming season will be their final one with the Packers. Rodgers has reportedly referred to Packers executive Brian Gutekunst as Jerry Krause, the former Chicago Bulls general manager, who feuded with Jordan and Pippen in text messages with teammates. The reigning MVP is said to have informed teammates that he's not willing to come back to the Packers next season under Gutekunst. Rodgers reportedly turned down a 2-year extension that would have made him the league's highest paid player. Adams and the Packers reportedly broke off negotiations for a long-term extension ahead of training camp. The two sides apparently don't have any plans to resume contract discussions. The All-Pro receiver is entering the final season of the 4-year, $58 million extension he signed back in 2017. Green Bay is set to begin training camp on Tuesday. You tell me. Wednesday, Does Rodgers come back? Should he come back? Or does he just say, I'm done? He's got enough money right now to retire. He's making money off the Bucs as a minority owner. He's got business interests going on right now. He's made more money in the NFL than he knows what to do with. He doesn't need to play another down of football. Now, there have been reports that Aaron Rodgers is a diva. He's melodramatic, blowing things out of proportion, which he could be. I understand why he's ticked. I do. I understand why he's ticked. But at the same time, think about this. Drew Brees, before he retired, spent all this time in New Orleans, and I think Sean Payton has drafted or traded for numerous quarterbacks over that span. And what did Drew Brees do? He went out and competed and was the starter anyway. Not like he wasn't going to be the starter, because let's face it, the quarterbacks that Sean Payton brought in to be backups to Drew Brees never really panned out. But Drew Brees used that as motivation to compete in training camp, to separate himself from the rest of the quarterback room, and he was going to be the starter anyway. If Rodgers is afraid that he's going to lose his job to a kid out of Utah State, come on, dude. Come on. And Rodgers is still in his prime. I mean, he is the reigning league most valuable player. 36 years old. He turned down a mega contract extension because he's that upset with the Packer organization. He can't be upset with ownership because the town owns the team. There's no owner. The town owns the team. But if he's upset with the front office, okay. I understand. But if he really feels that threatened, that they're gonna sit him for Jordan Love, who hasn't really played. And we don't know what kind of quarterback he could be in the NFL as of right now. We don't know. But if he feels that threatened, I think he's blowing some things out of proportion. But if he wants to leave, I think some of these fans in Green Bay are going to tell him, well, hell, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. Aaron Rodgers has another year left on his contract after this upcoming season if he shows up to training camp, so he can either essentially demand a trade or he can retire. The Packers will still owe him the money if he decides to retire. So it's not like he's going to be hurting for funding. Not like he's going to be hurting for anything. He is working out with Packers teammate David Bakhtiari, so I mean, I don't know if that's a sign of anything. By the way, sticking with the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got their Super Bowl rings a couple days ago. Did you see the size of these things? It's the first time an NFL championship ring has a removable top. And inside you remove the top, and inside the ring is an engraving of Raymond James Stadium. And it's got the scores of all their playoff wins around the stadium. It's pretty neat. I'll say this. It's pretty neat. I think they said it's got over 300 diamonds in the ring, which is ungodly. These things are freaking huge. These things are massive. So here's Tom Brady. There's a picture of him with all his rings on his fingers. And that Buccaneers ring is bigger than any of the Patriots rings that he has. I mean, this thing is massive. Massive. You can't wear this thing out. If you're going to go out, if you have one of these rings and you're going to go out for a night on the town, don't wear it. If you want to be smart, if you're going to be smart, don't wear it. It is too big. Huge. Huge. Let's see. Oh, the Olympics started this week. The Olympics started. Has anybody really watched any? Because I haven't. No fans in the stands. Nothing. But the United States finally medaled today with a 1-2 finish in the men's 400-meter individual medley. And finally, not finally, this isn't going to be the final segment, but finally, a trio of players that participated in the NBA Finals have finally arrived in Tokyo. Devin Booker, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday have finally arrived in Japan less than 24 hours before they are scheduled to take on France in their Olympic opener. How much play they get tomorrow is unclear, according to U.S. coach Greg Popovich, but he has said that he would gauge their role based on how they were feeling after their flights. Middleton and Holiday initially flew from Milwaukee to Seattle on Friday evening, making that trip a day after the Bucks had their championship parade to celebrate their NBA championship. Booker flew from Phoenix to Seattle, getting there Friday night a few minutes after the Bucks arrived. Booker hopped on the plane with Middleton and Holiday, and it took them about 9 hours to get from Seattle to Tokyo. And they landed shortly before 11 p.m. local time Saturday, or about 22 hours before the U.S.-France game is scheduled to begin. It's been an unprecedented period of preparation for the U.S. men's team in their quest to win a fourth consecutive Olympic gold. The 12-player team was formally unveiled on June the 28th. Since then, Bradley Beal and Kevin Love were removed from the roster, replaced by Keldon Johnson and JaVale McGee. 3 NBA Finals players have been gone, and U.S. wing Zach LaVine missed the team's flight to Tokyo on Monday because he was in the health and safety protocols related to COVID-19. After a number of negative test results were cleared he was cleared to fly over separately and rejoin the team in time for opening ceremony and Saturday's practice. Zach LaVine is back with the team. Like Green, LaVine said he believes the decision by the NBA Finals trio to come to Tokyo barely a few days after the series, a long postseason run, ended only speaks to their level of commitment. Let's see if this helps the team, because this national team has not had very much luck in their exhibition games. let's see. Good luck to them. Against France tomorrow. Okay. So, and the women's national soccer team rebounded from their opening loss to Sweden with a 6-1 thumping over New Zealand. The youngest athlete in the Tokyo Games is from Syria, and her dream is over. The youngest table tennis player in Olympics history is out of the Tokyo Games. Hind Zaza of Syria lost in straight sets to Lu Jia, a 39-year-old from Austria, in a preliminary match on Saturday. Hind Zaza is 12 years old, told Olympics.com that she was pleased with the performance and learned from the loss. And she's hoping for another shot at the next Olympics in Paris in 2024. Zaza is from Hama, which has been heavily damaged by war. She's the youngest athlete at the Tokyo Olympics, 12 years old. 12 years old. British women beat Japan and reached the Olympic soccer quarterfinals. Ellen White scored her third goal in 2 games at the Olympics, heading Britain to a 1-0 victory over Japan on Saturday and earning a place in the women's soccer quarters. The strikers scored both goals in Wednesday's win over Chile and then added another in the same Sapporo Dome in the 74th minute against the host nation. The goal came from a defensive mix-up after Lucy Bronze's cross came into the penalty area. White got ahead of goalkeeper Ayaka Yamashita, rising to nod the ball into the net. Britain leads Group E with 6 points, 2 more than Canada, which beat Chile 2-1 on Saturday's other game. First place will be decided on Tuesday when Britain plays the Canadians. So we will see. We will keep an eye on Tokyo. I haven't watched any of it. I'm not that interested this go around. There's no fans in attendance anywhere. There's still a possibility, depending on how COVID starts happening, depending on how COVID spreads throughout the Olympic Village, whether these games will be canceled midway through. There's still a lot of questions up in the air. I'm just not that interested. Hell, these Olympics are going to lose money because they're not allowing spectators. Watch right now. We'll see what happens in 2024 in Paris, but who knows what'll happen then. And then the Olympics of 2032 were awarded to Melbourne, Australia. Good day, mate. "11 years from now." Good luck to them. Good luck to them. We're about 40 minutes into this. Again, you can always Venmo me at Paul-Wonder-1. That's at Paul-Wonder. That's spelled WUNDER-1. Venmo me. All donations go back into this program. It is a late night, hot night in Louisiana. Saturday night. It's hot. 96 degrees in some portions of southeastern Louisiana today. Heat indices into the 110s. We haven't had heat like this all summer because it has practically rained all summer. The day it doesn't rain, 96 degrees. And the only sport going on right now that is still in season here in the States, Major League Baseball. Scores from around Major League Baseball today. 4 games right now in progress. The Blue Jays lead the Mets in the bottom of the 9th, 10-3. Pittsburgh over San Francisco, 3-1. That one in the top of the 5th. Dodgers lead the Colorado Rockies 1-0, bottom of the fifth, and just underway, end of the first inning. Mariners lead Oakland 1-0. Finals from around Major League Baseball today. Ooh, excuse me. Diamondbacks beat the Cubs 7-3. Cubs stink. $48-51 for the Cubs. Fourth in the NL Central. Three games under 500. And there are 63 games left to play on the Cubs schedule. They need to make a run. Yankees finally get a win. Oh, they beat the Boston Red Sox 4-3. Braves thrash Philadelphia 15-3. They hit 5 home runs today. Freddie Freeman, Abraham Almonte, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, and Jock Peterson all homered for the Braves 15-3. Marlins over the Padres 3-2. Baltimore beat Washington 5-3. Brewers over the White Sox 6-1. Angels over the Twins 2-1. Reds over the Cardinals 5-3. Astros over the Rangers 4-1. Tampa Bay over Cleveland 8-2. This is the last season that Cleveland will be known as the Indians. They are going to rebrand and call themselves the Guardians next year. I'll get into that story in a minute. And the Royals over the Detroit Tigers 9-8. After 7 months of deliberation, Cleveland's baseball team announced its new name yesterday. The day of the week when companies often drop unpleasant or inconvenient news. The announcement of the Guardians name included a message narrated by actor Tom Hanks, who spent 3 summers early in his career at the Great Lakes Theater in Cleveland. The video was published on the club's social media platforms. The team had already cut ties with Chief Wahoo's likeness last December. I have a hat with Chief Wahoo's likeness on it, and don't at me. Because it is a classic sports logo. It is now a vintage sports logo, and they got rid of Chief Wahoo because of PC, political correctness. I'm not going to say anything else about that. Ownership announced it would drop its team name as pressure mounted to change an insensitive moniker. Since 1915, the club was dubbed the Indians. The decision was controversial within the fan base and the city. Getting a majority to like and agree on anything, let alone a new team name, figured to be a monumental challenge whenever it came, especially in the era of expressing outrage on social media. Terrible trended as a topic on Twitter after the name was announced. Space Force jokes abounded regarding the new logo. Some liked the name, many did not. There were groups in Cleveland advocating for other options. The Spiders, the Municipals, the Blues, the Crusaders, and Commodores. Cobbling together a majority seemed impossible. So how did Cleveland's ownership do in renaming the club? Did it come to a logical, if not popular, choice? Or did it totally miss the mark? I love it when the cigar goes out through the middle of the show. Inspired or dull? It was a difficult task. You only get one shot at it. To get a sense of how Cleveland did and what boxes ought to be checked, Jason Klein and his pal Casey White launched the company 20 years ago from their college dorm room. They sent 150 letters to minor league teams stating a simple mission: to make their teams famous. One team wrote back: the West Tennessee Diamond Jacks. They've since come up with new names and logos for 70 minor league teams, including the Iron Pigs of Lehigh Valley and the Flying Squirrels of Richmond, and also assisted the Cincinnati Reds in their rebranding efforts several years back. Klein noted many efforts to rebrand away from Native American-inspired team names have failed. He cited examples like the St. John's Redmen becoming the Red Storm, or the Miami, Ohio University Redskins becoming the Redhawks. Cleveland completely cut ties with its old name and logo. That's one box check. The next step is beginning the rebranding process. So, and we're talking about again, this is Jason Klein. The next, Klein said, too many rebrands begin with names. What he's found helpful, start with stories. He has plenty of experience living through countless focus groups and name a team contests. To many, the choice of Guardian seems too safe, too cheesy, or too generic. This person tweeted out, Guardians is the wedding dinner chicken entree of team name options. Guardians also felt like something from Marvel Studios to some. The logo, even worse. This person tweeted out, I'm not a fan of the three-dimensional G either. Looks like the logo of a superhero named Greg, who is in the Justice League, but his superpower is being amazing at managing the HR department. And why not use the opportunity for a more interesting color palette? Locally, though, the story behind Guardians is interesting and unique to Cleveland. The Guardian name and aspects of the logo, the Art Deco style wings attached to the baseball, are a nod to 8 Art Deco Guardians of Traffic statues that in 1932 were carved into 4 32-foot sandstone pylons at the east and west entrances of the Hope Memorial Bridge. The bridge, one of 330 in Cleveland, spans the Cuyahoga River to connect downtown Cleveland with the west side neighborhood of Ohio City. The bridge's east entrance is a Jose Ramirez toss from the home plate gate at Progressive Field. The bridge's chief engineer wrote that the Art Deco figures were meant to, quote, typify the spirit of progress in transportation, an industry Cleveland played a key role in when its steel mills roared. The automobile built the Midwest and gave the country a massive leap in transportation capabilities. That's the history. It's part of the civic identity. This person tweeted out, to be honest, the Guardians is much more authentically Cleveland than most jokesters on this website understand. The 4 statues, the Guardians of Transportation, are absolute icons in the city and familiar to anyone who has any sort of roots in the area. So we get it. The color palette's still the same. See how this works out and if this catches on with the city of Cleveland. But this is their last season as the Indians. And for anybody that has any merchandise with Chief Wahoo's likeness on it, you now have collector's items. I know I do. We'll see how this works out. Who knows? It might catch on. That's about all I have for us tonight for this edition of Cigar and a Beverage. I thank everybody for joining me. As always, you can catch the replay on YouTube. Again, I'm reaching out. Anybody that has any ideas or any assistance on where I can start an e-commerce for merchandise, please let me know. You could drop your, drop your recommendations in the comments box on Facebook or here on YouTube. Again, Venmo me, Paul-Wonder-1. That's Paul, at Paul-Wonder-1. Here, Venmo me. Thank you for joining me here on Cigar and a Beverage. And as always, grab your favorite cigar, grab your favorite beverage, sit back and relax and join the conversation. Thank you for joining me. Good night. Thank you.